All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Live with RYE. I'm your host, RYE, and I'm so thrilled you are joining me. Thank you so much. I want to take a moment just to thank everyone for their continued love and support throughout all of this show. It means so much to me, and I am so grateful for you. Before we begin, I do have a favor to ask of you. Please help me out and give this video a like, and be sure to subscribe as well. Hit that subscribe button below and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can keep up with me and never miss an episode of Live with RYE. Also, be sure to follow me across social media at RYE the News Guy to continue the conversation as well. I love hearing from you, and I'll be sure to follow you back as well. So make sure you follow me. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at RYE the News Guy. You will also see my website scrolling across the bottom as well, at the bottom of the screen. Head over there to watch all of the episodes of Live with RYE and to see all of my other exclusive interviews, coverage, reviews, and to keep up with all the exciting things happening on the platform, including the launch of my new production company, RYE Productions. Now, let's get into today's show. Today's guest is actor Mahdi Cocci from the Tyler Perry series on HBO+ called Bra. This new half-hour comedy series examines the contemporary world of dating, career, and friendship through the lens of four African-American men with a brother-like bond. Mahdi Cocci plays the role of Tom, the handsome doctor who is the glue that keeps the group together. So without further ado, help me welcome my special guest to today's show, actor Mahdi Cocci. Hi, Mahdi.
Hey, how you doing, Ryan? Thanks for having me, man.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Thank you so much. Here, let's get this adjusted here. Thanks so much for coming on to talk with me.
Oh, absolutely.
Appreciate it. So, I mean, you have really scored sort of the role of a lifetime. I mean, you're playing the role of Tom in the new BET series Bra. What has that been like? And to work alongside Tyler Perry. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it really. I mean, you said the role of a lifetime, and it really does feel that way. I mean, especially because, in many ways, this is my first lead in a television series, right? So, and it couldn't have been with a better group. I love my castmates. Tyler Perry, getting the chance to work with him, for him, alongside him is really, it's just like a blessing. I'm super grateful. And honestly, like, I would say that what I'm most thankful for is that all my castmates have the same goal in mind. Everybody came wanting to make this the best show we could and do the work as best as we could. And nobody brought egos. Nobody kind of came with this attitude or divas type of personality. So, and we really developed a bond like in the show. Like, these are like my brothers, right? And we're like still good friends, and we stay in contact. We have like group chat, and we get in touch with each other. I'm actually traveling out next week, or actually this weekend, to see Barry, who plays John on the show. So it's so awesome to have like the real life connection that kind of the show also reflects,
That's wonderful to hear, and especially that you all get along so well, and there's no diva personalities. Everybody get along. What has it been like to work with Tyler Perry specifically? I mean, has he had any? I know this is a series. Has he had any input? Has he given you any feedback? I mean, has he worked with you particularly?
Well, so he does all the writing. He writes every single episode by himself, no writer's room, and he also directs every episode. So he's the guy yelling action and cut on like every single scene that you're, as an audience, you're seeing, and everything that we're acting in, which was kind of a surprise to me, actually, because he's this big A-list celebrity. So I'm thinking maybe he's kind of farmed that out to some people, but he's on the ground. He's grinding with us. So I think there's so much inspiration in that, because I think we all from a distance are aware of what he's accomplished and done it kind of unconventionally, and done it in a way that has been, so successful, but nobody had made a blueprint to do it his way before he did. So he was a trailblazer. So just to be able to be a part of the universe that he's created, and to absorb some of that kind of energy is great. So, I just feel thankful to be able to see some of that, and when he's kind of pulling his own weight, then we all feel like, well, he's rich and famous, so the rest of us, we got to at least work as hard as he's working, which is really hard. So it's, you know, it starts at the top, and having him as a leader, I think really does trickle down to everybody. That's cast, that's crew. Everybody just really has this desire to do a good job. And he's empowering too. He's not like a micromanager. He's not all over our shoulders making a bunch of corrections. He allows us to make it our own, which is a blessing, you know.
That's so important, especially from you know, a leader like that. He is making it work. I mean, I know he's got his whole empire down in Atlanta. You guys film, right, down in his studios down there?
Yeah, and it's an impressive place. It's an impressive place.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. So what has been your favorite part of doing the show? And this is your first starring credit. You're no stranger to the screen. You've you know, you've done acting. Well, this is your really first starring credit. What is what's your favorite part of this whole experience?
You know, I'd have to go back to just the folks I get the pleasure of working alongside. And you know, I know that it doesn't, I got friends who are on shows and all kinds of stuff, and that experience is not maybe a common one, right? Like, people come to set, they do their work, and they go home, and that's kind of it. Like, we're friends on set or whatever, but then when we go home, we're do our own lives. But I'm just super thankful that this group really is like, we developed the chemistry immediately, even at the callback. So the audition process is when we first all met, and we kind of instantly bonded, and then we're just carrying it forward from there. And it's so it's something to appreciate when you feel like you have your castmates, your teammates behind you, because we all support each other. So, you know, sometimes when things don't go great, or ups and downs, you have this team that, you know, they got your back regardless. And I'm a fan of their work, so I just really enjoy watching them and learning from them too.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And to have that support is just, I mean, that's, you know, that's a dream come true for actors. So that's wonderful. Your journey to acting has been very interesting. So you started as a model, if I recall, and then you took a break and from your career to serve as an officer in the Navy. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
Appreciate it so much. Tell me about that shift that made you go back to acting, and what did serving in the Navy teach you about being an actor? Have you taken anything that you've learned from serving into present day?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. In many ways, it's like a shift, you know, like I tell people a lot that I feel almost, because when I first graduated from undergrad, then I was commissioned as an officer. So I was a division officer in the Navy. I was in charge of like 30 men and women on a ship. And, you know, so I was like 22 years old, thrust into this leadership position. And, you know, thankfully I had some great senior enlisted and some officers that guided me and kind of taught me how to lead, you know. But I think one thing that I did the Navy doesn't make you do this, but I think this is something that I did, is that the insecurity of being in that position and feeling maybe unsure that I'm cut out for it, or, you know, I'm young, fresh out of college, like I don't know anything. So I developed this, I guess you could say, the ability to like wear masks and kind of front. So act like I knew what I was doing when I really had no clue, because I felt like that was required. Again, it's not like I was taught that, but I personally felt like it was required, that I gotta look like I know what's going on. I can't just be like, guys, I don't know what's up. So I kind of embraced that, but that reflected into many aspects of my life. And I was probably like that from younger, you know, even before the Navy, growing up, you know, dealing with issues in the household, that when I went out to school or whatever, I didn't want to let on. I didn't want people to see my vulnerabilities or my weaknesses, you know. So the biggest shift from, you know, that existence as a naval officer into acting is that the goal of this art form that we've chosen is like this expression of vulnerability, you know. So it's been an unlearning, I guess you could say, of the ways that I've coped with things, and like pretended and fronted and didn't let things kind of penetrate this barrier. So now just trying to slowly but surely take down some of those walls and allow people in, allow the audience in, allow, you know, co-work, your castmates, friends in, you know. So that has been, I'd say, the biggest shift. But things I've taken is so much. I mean, just in many ways, I liken Tyler Perry to some of the best military leaders because we learned leadership, right? So it's like you got to understand what a good leader is and to be one. And the type of leader that he is reminiscent of all the training and some of the greatest leaders that I got the pleasure of working with in my military career, because he empowers, he takes care of people like in a genuine, sincere way. He wants to care for all the people that are working underneath him. And so I'm able to see the value of that. And then, you know, just the discipline that was instilled, experiences and all that I've taken with me. So, you know, there's like, you know, there's a lot of, I'd say it's mostly positive, but then just for myself, the growth is growing beyond, I guess, shielding my weaknesses and vulnerabilities in life.
Wow, that's incredible. It's super important, and wow, that's incredible. And it's such it's so interesting how you did that shift. You know, you went from being in the Navy to acting, and it's clearly it's shown you and taught you a lot. And that's it's important to be vulnerable, and I think it shows also in your work as well. And that's important, you know, to be able to have that. You know, you'd be able to be a diverse actor in that sense, you know, to show your vulnerabilities. It's not often that happens, especially in male roles and male characters. So,
sure. And it's a continuous journey. I mean, it's something that like that's going to be the rest of life, really. The rest of career, the rest of life is just like, you know, breaking through barriers and allowing people in, loved ones, as well as audience. You know.
Yes. Yeah, that's so important that you said that, and you know that. So how important is it to have a show like Bra on like this on TV today that celebrates Black male brotherhood and isn't playing on the monolithic stereotypes that, you know, we usually see in media and entertainment? How has the show changed that, and why is it so important?
Yeah, I think it's so important because, you know, as you see, especially as, you know, narratives that come out from maybe media or social media, television, film, all this like information that we're receiving, I feel like it's divisive in many ways, unfortunately. And sometimes that's because we see other as different from ourselves. You know, we make boxes of like what's normal and that's us. And then people outside of that box are other or different or like something else. And I think that unfortunately, some of these stereotypes that we've seen of Black men in film and TV makes people feel, you know, it just contributes to the division.
Yeah.
So what I love about this show is that the narrative isn't the same. It's like you get 4 grown up Black men who, and we're all different, you know, it's like we're all friends, but we're different, but we're professionals and we're working and we're trying to live solid lives as best we can. But then I think that like people can relate to that, you know. So some of the best compliments I've gotten are people from all ethnicities that are just their relatability to what we've created on the screen. So people are like, oh yeah, like I got a buddy that's just like John, or a buddy, you know, or yeah, you remind me of how I am in my friend group as Tom. And that's awesome to me, man, because that's really what we tell these stories to do. We just want to connect with people, and that's all people, you know. And I think that like, you know, even as a Black person, right? Like as a Black person, Black people can watch TV and not connect with the characters just because they're Black. But if they're depicted in maybe a stereotypical way, it's like, well, that's not my experience. So it's like, it's still like there's distance between me and that. But the closer that we can get, or just things that we can touch on that everybody can relate to, I think that that's what this show does do, is that like it's relatable to just human beings. And that's what I love.
Yeah, that for sure. And that's one of the things that I love about the show is that the message of that. And it's funny, you were saying about, you know, relatability. Your character Tom is a doctor, but in the show too, aside from being the glue that holds the group together, he's also struggling with everyday issues that men deal with. isn't he having trouble with love? He's, isn't there like he has some love interest going on and some love problems inside the sort of the workplace, right inside of his office,
right?
Correct. Which
And well, yeah, and that's so. I think that's something that we as people can relate to as well. I mean,
right.
you know, that situation where there's that workplace romance that maybe got a little too close for comfort. So now we have to figure out how to navigate it. Do we want to like push this person away, but we don't want to like hurt people? And it's delicate, and
Yes.
that's kind of what you'll see me dealing with throughout the first season.
Mhm.
And the delicate balance that becomes imbalanced as I try to maintain a safe distance. But it's kind of like there's an old expression: you can't squeeze the toothpaste back into the tube. So I've kind of the toothpaste is out of the tube, and now I'm trying to deal with the cleanup of that, and
Right.
also preserving the integrity of the workspace, and it becomes difficult. And I think that like that's life too. People
Yeah.
get through that,
Oh, yes, for sure, for sure. You had mentioned earlier you were talking about some feedback that you had heard. What has the overall feedback been that you've gotten from playing this role, both with your fans but also in Hollywood? Have you heard feedback from people in Hollywood and the media? What has been some of the best feedback you've gotten?
Yeah, I mean, again, like what I'm most proud of is when people, like I said, when people connect to it, and you know, um, a woman reached out and was talking about like her brother who had passed away, and like her brother who had passed away, like she she saw him in the show, so she watched the show and she really felt like a heart's relationship to us and our friendships, and she was like, that reminds me of my brother, and it was like that touched me, and that's what's the most valuable, and I think at this time too the show just debuted in May, so that was, everything's been kind of shut down, so there's been an ability for people to, I guess, catch up and watch it when they're
Mhm.
not exactly, the time is a little weird, and
Right.
things are kind of in this strange limbo. Um, but yeah, I mean, generally speaking, the feedback has been positive, and I'm sure that, I'm sure there's people who maybe don't appreciate it, just like anything else. But um, that's one thing that our leader has definitely shown us in his behavior. It's like you can't let that dictate how you move. So whatever negativity that there may be, it's like people are entitled to their opinion, but I'm more appreciative of the people who we did connect with. So if some folks don't like it, that's cool. You don't have to tune in. That's cool. But for folks who do tune in, it's like that's who we do it for. That's what, like, we'll never stop trying to like connect and serve that audience.
So important, and you guys are making a difference with each episode, and it's currently airing, right? Did you guys just had a mid-season finale, correct?
Yes. So there was a mid-season break. There's 24 episodes for season one on BT Plus.
Okay.
The first 12 aired, then there was a mid-season break, and now it's back to airing again. So I think
Wonderful.
we're on 16, and it comes every Thursday, the new ones.
Oh,
So I think
great.
there's 16 available to stream right now. It's BT Plus, and every Thursday the new episode is out for streaming. So yeah, I guess if you keep going once a week, that'll take us towards the end of the year. I haven't done the math, but
Oh, no,
probably at least into December you can watch some new
yeah.
episodes.
Oh, that's great. Well, at least people have something to look forward to,
Right.
with quarantine and everything, and they have this to rely on every Thursday, which is great. Now,
Right. Right.
how has this quarantine affected you? Were you guys able to film during this? Was everything shut down for you? And with that, how have you kept yourself busy and kept yourself mentally and physically healthy during all of this?
Yeah. Well, quarantine's been interesting, right? It's an interesting
Mhm.
kind of time. I mean, I think we all somewhat thrive off human interaction, even if we appreciate our alone time as well. So that's been difficult just to deal
Mhm.
with. And also, I mean, I enjoy I enjoy acting. I enjoy this ability to do this.
Yeah.
And for the most part, the industry has been shut down. So no projects, no auditions, like not much of anything in that realm. Um, but the beautiful thing is that we just recently, so Tyler Perry, again, as a trailblazer and a leader, he he came up with a plan to safely start filming again. I believe he was the first one in all of Hollywood to actually start filming shows and stuff again. So he started with Sisters, I think, in July, and then we filmed The Oval, and then recently we just filmed the season 2 of Bruh. So we wrapped the season about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. I think we wrapped season 2. So that was a great time, you know, and we got to get there and do it. And you know, everything was safe, no positive COVID tests, tested every 3 days, wearing masks, and you know, staying distance, doing everything kind of by the rules. As annoying as that is, let's be realistic. Like, I like to see people in the face, you know, like I like to hug people after I understand why. Like, I like all that, you know. But it's like we'd rather that than be at home not working at the same time. So that sacrifice was well worth it, and I'm excited for what we've got to create. And I think that, you know, now ideally things will start kind of coming back slowly but surely. So hopefully that we'll have some more things happening soon or early 2021.
Yeah, I hope so. I know that TV and film has started to lightly come back. At least new. I don't know about in Atlanta. Well, with Tyler Perry, he's starting his stuff, but I know here in New York, they're starting to lightly start filming again, and you know, so it's getting there. But I feel for my actor friends and performer friends so much, because you know we love it so much. It's what you do, and to not have, you know, to not have it has been tough. But now to have all the protocols, you know, as you mentioned, it had to be tough to have protocols and not be able to hug your coworker or shake hands, or you know, go give them a high five during a good take. So it's the way that the film industry and TV industry is now going, how we know it's much different, and it's got to be daunting, I'm sure.
Yeah, you know, it's like a void, you know, but at the same time, you know, it's like you just got to kind of go with the process. And I do believe that things will be back and will be good again soon.
I hope so. I hope so. So what have you learned about yourself as an actor from playing the role of Tom in Bruh?
Wow. I think that I think what I've learned the most is that how important it is to allow myself to shine through in whatever part it is that I'm playing, you know, because, you know, I feel like this Tom part of me is closely related to my personal life in certain ways, but in certain ways it's completely different. But the importance is that it's me, you know. So to assume that part, as with any part, it's like we have to be willing to bring ourselves to it. And again, that goes back to vulnerability. Like, we have to be able to show ourselves, which it's maybe easier to oh, I'm just playing a character, I'm just hiding. But it's like to not share who I am is somewhat an injustice to playing the part. So I think that that's a huge lesson that I learned in having played this, is that, and that's, you know, I feel like the growth of that has happened. I mean, starting season 1, there was a little bit of just, you know, I'm happy to be here. I don't want to do anything wrong. You know what I mean? You're still on eggshells a little bit, trying to do a good job. And I think that as season 1 progresses, and especially now having filmed season 2, it's just the growth of ownership, I think, is a big thing that I feel. It's just owning that this Tom part of me is who I am, you know. So just allowing, as opposed to you know, still kind of tiptoeing around it, I think. So yeah, it's confidence. It's just embracing who you are and allowing that to happen and on screen.
Oh, wow. So I know it's hard right now with COVID and everything, and you just wrapped season 2, but what is sort of next? What is in the future for you? Do you have plans to continue acting? Do you want to get back into modeling? Have you thought about maybe doing projects of your own, getting into producing? What is sort of next for Mahdi?
You know, that's a good question. So a buddy of mine and I that I work with a lot, we're we're starting to write a project. So that, because that's the thing too, when the industry, like he and I, like we work together on auditions and things like that, but now we're just, because there haven't been as many, like we started working on a project, and that's kind of exciting to see, like, okay, like I can be creative, because I probably wouldn't have kind of even started the initiative if things had been maintaining as they were, so. And there's a couple of other things that are on deck that got paused with everything getting shut down. So I think 2021 is going to be good, productive year.
That's good to hear. I bet the one thing, as you said, the positive thing from COVID and from quarantine is there has been tons of people in the arts industry who have started to finally write their project they've wanted to, or create their project they wanted to. So I do think we are going to see a lot of creative things happening in 2021, new projects from people, new in all realms. I'm very excited.
Right, definitely, man.
So, in your opinion, what are some of the changes that you want and would like to see as a person of color in the entertainment industry? And do you feel that you've seen a shift in the last few months with everything that is happening, or do you feel that there needs to still be some more progress? And if so, do you have any, advice or any outlook that you think that you would like to see?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'd most like to see in like an ideal world is just where it's not as big of an issue as we make it, and the reason it's been made an issue is because it's been an issue. So I get it. It's not like, what I mean? So this is like, I'm talking about ideally into the future, right? And kind of what I touched on is that I like the fact that you can have a movie like a Black Panther with a predominantly Black cast, but it's a mainstream movie and everybody checks it out, and it's not like weird, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like it's like when it's the separation and segregation is not what I love. Like, again, there's nothing wrong with a cast that's all Black or predominantly Black, and there's even nothing wrong with a cast that's predominantly white or predominantly Asian, predominantly anything, because it's like, that's fine. But like, if it's that way on purpose, like to purposely exclude, then I don't love that. I think that, like, to some extent, the more that there can be just inclusion and appreciation for everybody, like it shouldn't be as simple as, oh, well, that movie just has, white people, so I don't want to watch it. Or that movie just has Black people, I don't want to watch it. That movie just Asian, I don't want to watch it. You know what I mean? I think that, like, and what I love to see too is that, like, women's stories are being told a lot more lately too, which is great because they're great stories. So it's like you have this stories told like about female leads and, with female writers and all that. And it's like, they're great shows. Like, I was a big fan, like Sharp Objects. I was like on the edge of my seat watching that. And it's like, these are great stories. So, you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't have to be about a man for me to watch. It doesn't have to be about a Black man for me to watch, or Black, you know what I mean? It's like, I just want stories to be told, and like, it should just be kind of normal all around, like who's in it and who isn't. So I think that, like, once we start to, like, not be as caught up around, like, and then we'll see stories that are just more inclusive, because that's just how the world is, right? So it's like, happen to be a lead of this ethnicity, of that ethnicity, of mixed ethnicity, of whatever, and we're less kind of like adherent to, like, I'm just going to watch stories that include this or include me. You know what I mean? I think that we just include everybody and let the stories tell themselves. But again, I know that that's going to take some righting of the ship, which is, that's why I can say that I appreciate that there has been, like, specific initiatives to kind of make that happen, to make the pendulum maybe swing back and get closer to center. Because obviously we've been pretty far from center to the other side. So now if we can get things back to normal, or I shouldn't say normal, if we can get things back to, like, even-ish, whatever that means, where everyone's kind of feels like they're included and their stories are being told, then I think that's a good thing. And I don't want anyone eliminated, anyone. You know, I want everyone included.
Of course. And it's a simple, you said it perfectly. You hit the nail right on the head. I mean, it's about inclusion and, you know, including everyone and not purposely excluding and not
Right.
intentionally doing it. And what you said is absolutely perfect. And I agree. Um, in finishing off here, I'd love to get your advice for aspiring performers and especially for aspiring minority and people of color performers who are wanting to get into acting, wanting to get into modeling, performing, anything in the entertainment world. What is your advice that you would give to them?
You know, I think practicality is really valuable, you know, and I think that like sometimes we get caught up in, you know, it's an art form, but we discount some of the practical nature of it. So I think that like what I tell a lot of young actors who have questions, or maybe I've mentored some young actors or whatnot, and it's like, hey, just take a look, like be aware of what stories are being told. Familiarize yourself with the industry that it is that you say you are just desiring to be a part of, right?
Yeah.
Watch those shows and figure out too, like, where could you fit in as a no-brainer? I think that it's important somewhat, or at least everyone has a way. This is just the way that worked for me, that someone kind of like taught me, and it worked. Is that like, you know, figure out where you fit in, like what your niche kind of can be, at least starting out, even if it's like co-starring and just, you know, cut your teeth a little bit. And then from there, you can move on and, you know, you get challenged with greater once you've shown people that they can trust you a little bit. So I think that, you know, take a look at what's out there and familiarize yourself with where do you see yourself fitting in. And you know, a lot of actors that I've talked to, it's like, hey, like what kind of parts do you think you can play? Oh, I don't really know. I don't really know. And I'm like, hey, I get it, but at the same time, there's no money in no man's land, you know, because if you don't know how to market you, your reps, your agent, manager won't know how to market you either. So if you at least have a direction, then I think that's a good place to start. And then from there, you can grow and you can kind of expand from that. So yeah, I would just say familiarize yourself, do your homework, do your research, watch shows, understand where they're filming too. I mean, you know, relocating to Atlanta for me was essentially how I was able to start a career. You know, I'd been modeling for years. I was in New York for a little bit. I was in LA for a little bit. But I was unable, I wasn't effective in starting an acting career until I moved to this marketplace because somebody taught me that like there were opportunities available here. So, you know, started out slowly and able to gain a little bit of traction. So yeah, just, you know, don't be opposed to relocating. Don't be opposed to maybe playing some parts that maybe you don't love or whatever, you don't think is glamorous, you don't think it's feeding your ego, because it's just building, you know, it's just building. So
Of course.
I think that's the best thing is, you know, don't bring your ego, just be ready to serve the story in a utilitarian way, you know what I mean? Or as a utility, I should say. So just what is your utility to the story? If you're valuable to us, tell a story, somebody will reward that value with hiring you and paying you some money.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. So, you are. I hope everyone listens to this and takes your advice. You are just so smart and so humble. And I mean, really,
I appreciate that, Ryan.
and I mean this. This is not the last we are going to see of you. I think you are your career is up and coming, and you know, this is only the beginning. And I cannot wait to see what the future holds for you because I just think that this has been a launch pad, and I hope and I wish you nothing but success in the future. And I know you will have it for sure.
Thanks, man. That really means a lot. I appreciate that, Ryan. You know,
No,
love to
it's
come back and talk anytime.
I would love that. And I mean, in closing, is there any final thoughts, anything you'd like to leave us with? Anything that, you know, I didn't get to touch on that you'd like to, you know, speak on?
You know, I guess just back to what we said, we're more similar than we are different, you
Yes.
know, so always try to keep that in mind. You know, everything's divisive, it's polarized, it's this versus that, it's, you know, it's almost like the narrative we're given is encouraging us to like take sides, and I
Yes.
get it, but at the same time I think that like empathy is always a more difficult choice. Empathizing, putting yourself in the other person's shoes,
Mhm.
and from there, then we can actually hope to connect more. And I think that should always be the goal. Like the more we can connect and not divide. So
Great.
that's
So
what I hope for.
speaking of connect, where can we connect with you and keep up with you and follow all your journey?
Yeah. So again, the show Tyler Perry's Bruh comes on BET Plus. That airs it's a streaming app, so you can find the new episodes available every Thursday. And check out me on Instagram, Mahdi Cocci, MAHDICOCCI, and yeah, hopefully have some good things in store for 2021.
I hope we all do. I really do. And I'm looking forward to seeing what 2021 brings for you and for all of us here in the entertainment world. Mahdi, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and schedule to chat with me. I loved this conversation, and you are just an incredible person, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for you. And I can't wait to talk again with you down the line.
Thanks, Ryan. It's been a lot of fun, man. I definitely appreciate the time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much. And be sure, everyone, to catch new episodes of Bruh every Thursday on BET Plus. All right. Thanks, Mahdi. Have a great day.
Take it easy, boss. You too.
Take care.